and make that change. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show, Drive Tribe. I don't know if you're going to like this, hate it, or who knows what's going to happen, but I have adjusted the output so that you see a dual output over here, and I'm hoping that lets you kind of put me in the background if you want to and just listen as opposed to having to watch. And I'm also on a new computer, so that was the reason for the pause early there, because I am learning whether or not how this one's going to work different than the previous computer. So welcome to the show. Welcome back. Welcome in. Welcome home. It is the H2 show. We're high above the Adamson Square, the historic Adamson Square. I hope we're not glitching again today because I am not wired directly into the internet. So we will get right into it. It is National Proposal Day. So today is a time to propose new bold ideas. It's also a time to propose if you've been engaged for a long period of time and you think they're the one, just go ahead and do it. Just kidding. March 20th is all about making the big ask. Whether it's love, a game-changing idea, or just a pitch to grab coffee later today, it's about stepping up, taking risk, and leading with conviction. On National Proposal Day, here's a challenge. Dare to ask for something bold today, something that you would have never asked for before. Just get bold. You know, don't be scared of it. And my friend of mine would joke with me. He'd say, "Hey, they can kill you, but they can't eat you." But in all seriousness, practice your pitch, whether it's a boss, a client, or yourself in the mirror. Practice the pitch. And remember, a no isn't a failure, but it's just the start of a different way to approach it, or a smarter approach. Fun fact, the world's longest engagement lasted 67 years. That's not months, years there. 67 years. So if you think your man's waiting too long, just imagine if he took 67 years. Some people don't live that long, and some people aren't married that long, for sure. So, all right, let's go through some quick things in this day in history. Okay, I'm not going to sing, but I do want to sing. I've got to tell y'all, this LeBron James theme of like making everything into a LeBron James song is really getting to me. Man in the Mirror was already one of my favorite songs, and then they remixed it, and I love a good remix. And you know, I'm talking about the Man on the Lakers is really it's been playing through my head for the last like 5 days. So if I start humming it, I apologize. Or if y'all heard me singing it before the podcast because I didn't know if we were live. Yeah, my bad. All right, so leadership through history. 1852, Harriet Beecher Stowe published Uncle Tom's Cabin and sparked an abolitionist movement. Leadership is about provoking necessary conversations. That's very true. In 1916, Albert Einstein released his general theory of relativity. And in 1985, Libby Riddles became the first woman to win the Iditarod dog sled race. So fun fact about that, the Iditarod, there was a Disney Channel movie on that. Never, ever would I have put any focus on that dog sled race. And as I became an adult, I would have thought it was more, publicized than it is. I don't even know when it occurs or how often. I know it's every year, but how long it takes. I mean, it's kind of like the Tour de France for like a 7-year period. Really, really popular because obviously this was pre, the downfall of Lance Armstrong. And, it was obviously really popular on the TV, and I knew where to find it, and I could watch it. I watched it all the time, and then it fell off. I know there are people still out there that are big into cycling that probably know where to watch it. That's not me, unfortunately. All right, so last on Tuesday, now yesterday you tuned in, I hope, for the Colton Blue concert. And I apologize for the technical difficulties, but for some reason the computer just went kaput in terms of streaming. So I've got it at home, going to do some work on it, hopefully get it back. It's probably set up better than this computer for streaming. However, hey, we're going to make do, we're going to get by, and we're going to keep getting better. That's what we do here. We make choices. We don't make excuses. But on Tuesday, if we go all the way back to Tuesday, I know it feels like a lifetime ago. It feels like the weeks just drag on and on. We talked about handling pushback with confidence. So taking those awkward moments and making them less awkward, how to diffuse those situations, so on and so forth. Today, we're going to talk about how to propose a bold idea. I know that sometimes, and I'm this way, you can talk yourself out of it, right? I've done this before. Man, I'm feeling the pressure. I don't know if I think everybody will laugh at me, so on and so forth. The reality is that it takes boldness and confidence to change the world, and you don't change it by having one bold idea, but rather by having many over a long period of time and practicing. So let's get into the 5 steps you can take to how to propose a bold idea. The first thing is reframe that fear, okay? Don't start with, well, we should really rework our workflow. I think that's going to be better for us. Nobody's taking that elevator pitch. They don't want that. What they want to hear, and what you got to do, is bring on some FOMO, some fear of missing out. That's your ally when you're pitching a bold strategy. Hey, what if I told you that just $5 a day can yield this great return over the next 10 years? Or what if I told you we could double our output with only $500,000 in investment? Depending on how big your company is, that might be bigger or better than others. But you have to start with the vision. What are we going to get out of this? What if I told you I could cut down on the number of emails you have to touch a day by 1,000? Okay, that's like, boom, I'm in. All right, tell me about it. Okay, you're telling me I can have $1 million if I invest in 6% or 15% of my income and getting the match in my 401k if I just start when I'm 28 instead of when I'm 60 or 53. Like if I think about retirement now, that can really make a difference. Or we used to do this, and it's a fun little game. There's an app called Easy Calculator that I get on my phone, and I go in there, and it's got a compound interest calculator. And a friend of mine named Jason, I'm not going to give his last name because I haven't asked permission, but he would tell me that he used to take he'd talk with his employees, and he'd go, hey, let me tell you about what that $5 a day at Starbucks is doing to you. So if you start out with $0 and you put in a monthly deposit, let's just say you get Starbucks only on the days you work, which is usually about 20 days a month. All right, so that's $100. If I take that $100 and I invest it over 12 months, and right now you can get interest rates at your Robinhood or your Live Oak Bank of about 4%. So let's say we're going to get 4%. If I do that, after a year, that $1,000 has now made me $25 in interest, and I have $1,200. If I do that same thing for 10 years with just a 4% return, 120 months, I'm going to be at $14,000 with making interest of $2,700. Okay? So again, when you start to think about things differently and you present them differently, because then I can say to you, if you gave up $5 or your $5 coffee every day, what if I told you could make an extra $3,000, or you could have $14,000 at the end of 10 years? Would you do it? Maybe you wouldn't, but I can start with this bold vision. So, things like what could I hit, or could I hit what if I told you we could hit our target in half the time? What if I told you I could take 1,000 emails off your plate? That's how you start. Start with a vision. And then you got to simplify without shrinking the concept. That's step 2. So it's not, let me run you through everything. You want to be in an elevator pitch or in a pitch of a big proposal like this, you want to be 80% accurate, but communicate 100% of the idea. Okay? You don't need to get bogged down in how long it's going to take or how hard it's going to be. That'll come later. You'll get there. But when you're pitching these big proposals, you simplify without shrinking. I'll give you the example of Einstein, right? He took his entire most complex of physics laws or theories and boiled it down to E equals mc squared. Okay. It's what, 5 symbols, 3 letters, and a number? Like E equals mc squared. We all know that. Okay. You may not know what it means, but he broke it down. He took a real bold idea and made it into something easy to understand. I heard it about Airbnb. Airbnb, what if you could pay your rent for the whole year by renting out your apartment in Augusta for 1 week out of each year? Well, that's a pretty bold proposal. Now, take that same thing, because people in Augusta were doing that because of Augusta National and the Masters that's coming up in April. But take that same thing. You can do that in Washington, D.C. You had an apartment near the inauguration whenever Obama was being inaugurated. You could have paid your entire rent off of 1 week's rental. Okay. That's a pretty bold idea. And guess what? That's pretty simple. What does it do? It communicates. I know that people sometimes can't afford their rent. I know that, and use specifics, right? You say, hey, there was a server that worked in Washington, D.C., downtown on K Street or whatever you want to say, and this server, and give a real example. This is one from the pitch deck for Airbnb when they were trying to get some venture capitalists to invest and talk to their customers and why they should sign up. And hey, server downtown in Washington, D.C., during the inauguration, they rented out their apartment. They were able to pay their rent for the entire year. Boom. What did it communicate? Hey, if you're having struggles making your rent or you don't make a lot of money, here's an opportunity to make a little extra money. What do we do, and what does it represent to our customer? Well, hey, the customer, not just the people renting out their apartment, but the customer can get the opportunity to rent a house instead of renting a hotel room. You know, maybe it's a little more comfortable. Maybe you got a full-size kitchen. But again, simplified it. Boom, boil it down to the one thing you do. All right? Then anticipate the resistance. We've been talking about resistance, how it's going to get awkward, how it's going to get weird, how it's going to happen no matter what you do, no matter how good your pitch deck is, you're going to get resistance. But we're giving you some practical steps on how to lean into that. It's also very important when you're pitching the idea, you hit the highlights of those first things that people are going to have a knee-jerk reaction. I don't want people in my apartment. What about if they break something, right? Be the Airbnb thing. You know, hey, we've got insurance, or here's how to get insurance to, when you're renting out your apartment. Boom, done. Oh, we make it easy. You can sign up. Like Uber. Uber's done some of this with people trying to get people to drive. Oh, we offer these bonuses. Well, my car is not going to meet the requirements. Well, okay, I got you a lease. All right. I've got a way you can lease through us. Not saying that's a good deal. I'm just saying they're solving a problem for their drivers, right? People want to pay their lease on their, and don't want to have to go, maybe their credit's not good and they can't get approved through regular processes to get a brand new car. Boom, Uber offers them an opportunity. Or maybe it's, they're going to be resistant because, hey, I don't think everybody needs access to this. You're right. We built in these guardrails, whatever it is. Okay. I don't want to do a new email system. Hey, it looks exactly the same as the old one you used to use. It's okay. It's layered on top. What if we hate this and want to go back? Oh, guess what? It's built on top of the old program, so we can just unwind it. It's not a big deal. So anticipate, use those things to make a better pitch deck and a better pitch. When I say pitch deck, it could be a PowerPoint presentation, or it could just be some notes that you make. You could technically call these notes that I write every day a pitch deck. I'm pitching you on how to make yourself better and how to grow into the person that you want to be, both professionally and personally. Tomorrow, by the way, at lunch, good plug, we're going to be doing another Faith to show with a Faith-Filled Friday lunch with Will. So there's that. Come and attend that and get some personal time, personal growth time as well as this professional growth time. All right, number 4, sell the impact, not the effort. This goes back to what I was saying. We don't want to be talking about, well, we're going to have to trudge through, let's say you're moving to a new system, right? And everybody knows that that's worked in corporate America, or maybe if you just worked at a simple hardware store, Target, whatever. There's maintenance that goes on behind the scenes where all the information that a product has to be loaded into an ERP or an enterprise resource program, basically a database, big fancy Excel spreadsheet behind the scenes, and it keeps all the information about the products. Well, okay, that's a big lift when you got to transfer it from one to the other, especially if you didn't maintain it well to begin with. But when you get to this new system, maybe it makes it easier to set up new products. Maybe it makes it easier to sell those new products. Maybe it's the fact that your old system's built on a software or coding language that nobody uses anymore, and you just got to get over there. That's a big, bold proposal. And you need to talk about, hey, this is going to be so much easier for us to maintain the system, and you're going to have less failures. And when you have less failures, you're going to have more time to do your job, and it's going to be great because it's simply going to work. Think about the iPhone. What makes the iPhone great compared to the BlackBerry, right? Or compared to, in some cases, Android. A lot of people that tell you why they use an iPhone over a Samsung at this point is the intuition and the ease of it just works. I don't have to worry about I'm going to get a virus. The apps don't crash because they're more robust in building the apps. But it simply works. So sometimes that's what you're selling. And when you put the language out there, you talk about what it would mean for the people's lives in the room. Like, hey, no, it's not always going to be 6 months. We're to trudge through this. Depending on their audience, like how bought in are they? But it's more like, hey, this is going to put us back ahead of competition by Q3. That being Q3. Some people on here may not deal with the corporate lingo, so I don't want to take that for granted. But essentially, you're selling the simplicity of your vision. Not, hey, it's going to take all this extra effort. We're going to get there, and we're going to get there in 6 months. Okay, and then finally, make it a shared victory. So when you're talking to folks, you want them to start to be bought in to your vision. If this bold idea is going to work, everybody's got to be on board. You got to be pulling the rope the same direction. So you can end your pitch with something like, I believe in this, but I want to make it even better. How do we refine it together? Like, this is what I've got so far. I mean, how can we make this better? What do you hate? What do you love? Let's do something better. And now, if you're the follower in that situation, one way to not lose the leader who's pitching you on these types of things is to use this phrase, have you considered, followed by whatever it is you want to talk through. Because what you want to do is tee them up with an opportunity to then answer your question and maintain their position of leadership. You never want to put them in a position where you're back in that serve volley, making them defensive. So if you're the follower, I'm saying follower, we're all leaders, we're all followers. It just depends on the day, the minute, and the circumstance. But if you're in a meeting, somebody's making this big, bold pitch, even if you found the fatal flaw, okay, how you talk about the fatal flaw or how you bring it up and when you bring it up, it's very important. Your tone matters and how you phrase it matters. So you say something to the effect of, have you considered this part of the program that's going to be tough for us to move over? And then they get the opportunity, hey, the ball's on the tee. Can they hit it? Maybe they've already considered it. And they go to town and they say, yep, I've considered that. Here's how we're going to answer that. Or maybe they haven't considered it and they say, that's a good point. Let's talk a little more offline where we can dig deeper on that. And then they can move on. And you give them an opportunity to save face if they've missed something big. So how you ask questions is important. So let's go back. The big takeaway, bold leadership is a muscle. It takes practice. Pitching under pressure isn't about being fearless. It's about leading with courage despite the fear. Okay? It's about doing all the pre-work, being prepared, and bringing it to the table and making a good pitch. So what do? We reframe the rejection we anticipate. You can do some of that, prep work of standing like a superhero in the window or in the mirror, and looking at yourself and just building that confidence before you go in. That's something you can change your posture, sit up straight, be confident, look people in the eyes, look around the room, see all the faces, be bold in your movements. That's how you take rejection and turn it into spinning that rejection into how to win. Okay, so reframe the rejection, simplify your vision, lead against the pushback, lead into it, lean into it, and learn from it, and then sell the impact, and then we bring the team together, right? Own the room, bring the room together. Okay, that's how we pitch under pressure and get these bold ideas out there. So whether you're Harriet Beecher Stowe trying to lead the abolitionist movement, or you're Einstein who's boiling things down to E equals MC squared, leaders have to have big ideas and they have to lean in and be confident in pitching those ideas. And I hope you'll take a risk today, because it is National Proposal Day. Propose something bold, something fearless, something you've been maybe holding on to in the shower. You've been thinking about, oh, this is a great idea. How do I get it out there? Go ahead and take a chance, okay? And get it, just pitch it and practice. Pitch on your wife, pitch it to your wife, pitch it to your best friend. The more you practice, the better you're going to get. All right, let's go to the verse of the day. I'm just checking my time. Not doing too bad. I did not simplify that vision enough for you all, but we'll get there. Remember, I love you guys. I want you to be very successful. Whether you're a believer or not a believer, we know you can get something out of the verse of the day each day. I want you to recognize that we're building something. This is a community. You are a part of this team. And if you have questions, ideas, thoughts on how we can pitch things differently or learn differently, or if you just have a great video you want to send to me, put it in the chat, send it in the messenger. I'm not going to get offended if you have a better way, because that's what we're trying to do here. We're going to get better together and better every day. All right, verse of the day, Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So as you can see, God even calls us, when we're acting in his mission, when we're doubting ourselves, and the fact that you're being called by God to do something should give you confidence. So when you feel that calling, be strong and be courageous in it. Know that you're acting in God's timing and in God's purpose. And when you're doing those things, and when those things are aligned, there is nothing you can't do. There's another, and I'm gonna forget where it's at, but it says, with the world nothing is possible, but with God all things are possible. So the point here is, God calls us to be courageous. He wants us to be acting in our gifting. He wants us to be using the talents that he's given us, and he wants us to be in alignment with him. And if we are, then that allows us to lead boldly. And remember that it's not about having no fear, but that courage is the ability to overcome fear and act out your purpose in life. So with that, let's wrap up for the day and kind of leave you with a little something. Okay. We want you to pitch today. I want you to think about how you're going to pitch something new. It could be changing up, what you're doing in your day-to-day life, but I want you to test out this process. We've hit some leadership-driven strategies to propose bold ideas under pressure. and it is your turn. Pitch something that matters, and remember that progress beats perfection every time. What you do every day matters more than what you do every once in a while, and make good choices so you don't have to make excuses. I don't like saying goodbye, as always. I really, really hope you'll join us tomorrow for that Faith-Filled Friday. But as for today,
At the end of the day, the day got to end.